88.7 KBVR Corvallis. This is a Marvelous Monday. I am your host, Marvelous, joined in the studio by 3 state champions. If you were here before the break, you know who they are, but we'll go through them again. Two-time state champions. My cousin Elliott O'Brien is to my left, Jeremy Lepman is in front of me, and Ace is a little more to the right. Aaron, sorry. Well, Ace. We're going with Ace.
It's shorter.
Okay, so before we went to the break, we talked to Ace about his recruiting process and how he got to be at Oregon State and playing here. Elliott, you also played Division I college football for a season. You were down at UTEP when my dad was coaching there, and you went over to there. Can you kind of just share with the viewers how that process worked, how you got to play there, and how you enjoyed that season, how it was for you?
Yeah, sure. So, obviously your father, my uncle, was the defensive coordinator down there. And so, obviously I played offense, but coming out of high school, I was really looking at Linfield or Portland State or like a little bit smaller school. And then, obviously I sent my tape down to UTEP, and they thought I'd have a good opportunity to be successful down there. And so I got a late push from Oregon State just as an opportunity to be on that team. Not a scholarship, but I thought that my best chance would probably be at UTEP, mid-major, not in the Pac-12. And so, I went down there. Awesome experience. Loved it. Made a lot of lifelong friends I still stay in touch with. And got to do some pretty cool things. But, it was a great experience for me. And, I love the state of Texas, probably my favorite state now. So
yeah, no, it was a lot of fun having you down there too. And unfortunately, you guys did go 4-8, 4-8, right, or 5-7?
5-7.
5-7 that season. However, there was one game against Buffalo where you guys definitely should have won. That was a questionable call at the end. But even though the record wasn't good, just that experience, was that just a great time for you getting that experience? Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's such a change of pace, even just going to a mid-major like UTEP, going from high school and just the way that practices are run. And, from literally 6 o'clock in the morning until probably 10 o'clock at night, your day's planned out for you between lifting and practice and school and study hall. And so that was definitely an adjustment, but it definitely got me focused. And it was a great experience, and also just being able to play, play at Texas Longhorns, going against Cole McCoy, Jordan Shipley, Earl Thomas for the Seahawks now. So being able to play against them, or not play, but, be there against them, that was a pretty cool experience. So, definitely something I'll remember for the rest of my life. But it was also awesome to be a regular student, kind of once you come back. I decided not to play football anymore. So, it was awesome when it was going on, and I'm glad I did it. Now, is that something that you regret stopping, or do you not second guess it, and do you think that was the right decision for you to make? Yeah, when I decided to transfer to Oregon State, Coach Losey, who recruited Aaron, I'd kind of been in talks with him, and they had a few guys that got injured and a few other things that happened, and so there's an opportunity for me to join the Oregon State team when I decided to transfer from UTEP. And at that point, I'd been off of football for maybe 3 or 4 months, and as much as I loved it, and it was just nice to just be able to kind of do whatever I want and focus on school and all of that kind of stuff. And so I respectfully told him, thank you so much for the opportunity. I think I'm just gonna stick. And so I never regretted it. I mean, it was hard for the first year. I'd say go on Saturday and see Aaron out there on the sideline, or other people I knew, and everything that goes into that. And so but that's the glory part. That's what everyone gets to see. So everyone wants to suit up on Saturday, but people don't see the lifting or the meetings and all that stuff, which isn't bad stuff, but there's a lot that goes into it before that, before Saturday. So definitely don't regret it. It was a great opportunity for me down in Texas, but I'm glad to finish out my career as a student here at Oregon State. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a kid, a coach's kid too, I see the work that everyone goes through as players, and I was able to see it firsthand with you. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. So what, if you had to pick one thing, what do you miss most about it? About playing ball? Yeah. I kind of touched on it earlier when we were talking about high school. It's really just the camaraderie. It was just going to class and meetings, and, redshirting my first year and playing scout team against the first team defense and doing all that stuff. And it's really just like the funny memories that you have, whether it was, when the freshmen would have to go and help out a charity or doing whatever, just these car rides or just being in the dorms or anything like that. It was really, that's what I miss the most about it. And I'm lucky enough to stay in touch with a lot of those guys still. And then also it was fun to play ball every single day, especially when you grow up doing it and you finally get to play in college. So I kind of miss the whole thing, but I'd say the camaraderie with the guys is definitely probably the biggest thing I miss. Absolutely. Now, Jeremy, you told us before the show You did not play college football, but you said you have a funny recruitment story that you would like to share with us. So let's hear it.
We'll see how funny it is, but it's interesting. So if you're not watching, I guess I'm a little smaller than these guys. I was a middle linebacker, and I was like 5'10", 180 pounds. So
it's the D1 speed that was
yeah. That's what they got the recruiters going. But no, I wasn't typical size or anything. So after the season, I really didn't think it was. I was just planning on going to Oregon State, go to school, and there was 2 schools that reached out in some fashion, and one school I did not care for at all. They're both D3 schools. So, but then Linfield reached out to me, and I talked to the guy over there, and I went for a visit, and I met the D coordinator, and they showed me around and everything, and then they said, okay, they watched tape with me. This is what the position we want you to play. It was some outside linebacker role. And they said, you're going to be going to lunch with the guy who plays there now. So I was like, all right. And so I go to lunch with this guy, Jamin Jackson. He's about 6'3", 230 pounds. And that's when I knew I could not play at this level, probably. Well, I wish I actually would have done it looking back on it. I think it would have been fun. I mean, I don't think I would have played, obviously, as a freshman, but, maybe on kickoff return or something. But, yeah, I think it would have been really fun to do, but I turned it all down just to be a regular kid. Yep.
Well, I mean, but you obviously enjoyed your college time, and looking back, I did enjoy it. It would have been nice to play, but
yeah, I think it would have been really fun just to have a different experience than high school. Mm-hmm. But from everyone I talked to, even Will Murphy, who played for the Philadelphia Eagles, that
name drop,
yeah, a nice little name drop there. That played football with us. Everyone always would just tell me that it was never better than just playing at West. So. Mm-hmm. I do think it would have been fun to play at some, for 1 year or something, and then transfer over to Oregon State. But yeah, it was fun either way. So
I do want to throw a shout out that Jared did win a few IM championships.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
When I wasn't pulling a muscle, I was doing okay out there. But yeah, it was fun.
Absolutely. So we're gonna stick with college football here, and we're gonna move in to the Beavs. Let's see what do you guys think? The chances are for the Beavs next year. A lot of people, obviously a lot of Beaver fans are not realistic, and they think, oh, we're going to win 7 or 8 games next year. We won 2 last year. So, and we're still a young and building team. There's I trust that Gary Anderson knows what he's doing, and he's going to build this team up, but I also don't think it's going to happen overnight. I guess we'll start with Jeremy. What do you think about the chances for the Beavs next year?
So apparently there's a lot of haters in here on the Beavs, because I got them winning 6. Trust the process, Trust the process.
All right, well, can we go to the schedule real quick?
Right.
And I just want to know who they're going to be.
Let's find the 6. Let's find the 6.
Okay. I'll find them.
I'm just going to chime in if I disagree. I'm going to be respectful. I'm just going to chime in here, though.
Okay. All right.
So we start
at Minnesota.
Okay.
At the win. Okay, nothing.
Does anybody know how Minnesota finished up last year?
They went 5-7 last year, but they also had they were like a play away from beating Michigan, and they were also a turnover away from beating Ohio State, which that was at the beginning of the season, given when they weren't in their stride.
I think
yet,
Minnesota could go either way, but I think that's a good call.
We do have a shot to win that game.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just give us the win there.
All right.
and then we have a bye week, and then we play Idaho State.
That better be a win.
Coming off the bye week.
Boise State. No, I give us 20% odds.
We're at home.
I'll take 20%. 20 to 15.
20%.
I mean,
hard 80%.
Seeing Boise State play against my dad's team at San Diego State the last 5 years, they're a pretty good team.
They're a good team. Okay, so then Colorado at Colorado. That's a win. That's a win for the Beavs.
It should be. It should be. So there's
swing though.
2.
Yeah.
Cal's been down. I think they're going to be down because of Jared Goff. I honestly think it's 50-50 odds for
Who
that
was that
game.
receiver number 4 with the long hair for them last year? I can't remember his name either, but he has also gone to the pros too.
Yeah.
Right. So I think they're actually going to have a down.
We got him at home.
Right,
Reeser will be rocking.
I'll give you that.
Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4 already.
Wait, who's the 4th? I gave you Idaho State,
Minnesota, Idaho State, Colorado, and Cal.
Wait, I just want to play devil's advocate. So every game that it goes either way, you give us the win.
Yeah.
So this is an optimistic 6 wins.
Right.
Beaver Nation, optimistic 6 wins.
This is at home, and the Beav Nation gives us the win there.
Right,
12th man.
You bet.
Amen.
And then Utah, we're gonna lose that one
Okay,
probably. At Washington, I think they're actually gonna be good.
Is Wilson still at Utah? That's my question.
Was that the running back?
No.
Quarterback.
Booker's with my team, Denver.
Oh, yeah,
in
that's
the
right.
NFL.
That's right.
So they lost
get
him.
good
But did
running
they lose
backs.
I think
Wilson,
Wilson
though?
has one more year.
Oh, yeah, he has one more year.
Yeah,
I'm
so
pretty
I'm
sure
giving
he's
us
got one more.
a
I cannot
there.
stand that guy.
And
Anyways.
then Washington, I think, are
Washington's-
actually going to be good.
People are projecting them to win the pack.
Yeah.
At Huskies, that's a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Wazoo is the game at home where I think we could pull off a little upset.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
our, that's our
Okay,
That's our fifth.
it's definitely an upset.
surprise win for the
It's
year.
not that big of an upset.
let's
It's
get that
Wazoo.
straight.
I know. Well, given Wazoo was very good with
They're on the up and ups.
Luke Falk at the quarterback last year.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
They also were a team that went 8-4, but could have gone 9-2.
Stanford.
Had a couple days or a couple
have
plays
beaten
gone their way. They should have beaten. That game
They
was
beat
pretty much
Oregon
in the bag.
at Autzen.
Yeah, they beat Oregon, and
All right.
I think they're going to be good.
So I'm
but
giving us
we are
one
home.
upset with
Okay.
Gary Anderson at the helm.
All right.
Great
Bet.
coach.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so that's 5 wins, and then we're gonna lose
There's
to
a skid.
Stanford.
There's a little skid there.
This is when we kind of go downhill. Stanford, UCLA, and Arizona.
Those-
I'm
Okay,
giving us
Stanford,
losses.
UCLA, that's a tough back-to-back.
Yeah, so I'm
That-
just hoping no one gets hurt too bad.
Yeah.
You know what though? For me, if I was going to give us an upset, I would think of Stanford just for the simple fact of that. Even when we were a bad team, like last year, we were with them by 7 points until the fourth quarter last year. And
Except we
no
were playing
matter,
at home last year.
yeah,
That's
we
my only
did play at
thing,
home.
yeah.
But when Cody Vaz was in for Mannion and he fumbled the ball away at Stanford, we would have won if he didn't do that. So it just seems like for whatever reason, Oregon State plays them good. Next year, I don't think we're going to win it.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick like
big
an out
upset.
there upset, I would pick Stanford just because we always
I would
play them
agree
good.
with that. And then I just remembered they have a young man by the name of Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
That's
oh
right.
yeah,
He
he's still
did
there. He's
okay
still there.
last
He
year.
won the Heisman last year?
He should have won the
Should've
Heisman.
won the
He should
Heisman.
have. No, but
He won the Heisman in my book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In everybody's
The
book.
We
best
also
player in college football.
not shut him down, but we held him to under 200 yards, which was like not. That's a but you know what I mean?
That's
like
optimistic.
when he played
See, as
against
Beaver
everybody
fans,
else.
we are optimistic.
But
You
when
get
he
that
played
right.
against everybody else, he had at least
He had big numbers.
180
So,
when
yeah.
he would rush.
Let's
So
say- We'll ask Iowa. We'll ask Iowa.
The
Best team in the
NCAA
nation.
record for all-purpose yards last year, actually.
yeah,
Okay, so we got at
Hawkeyes?
UCLA. That's a loss. Arizona at home. I'm giving us a loss there because I'm being beneficial in other areas of our
Yeah.
schedule. And then home, Oregon Ducks are going down.
Hot take,
That is
everybody.
that is the fresh hot sports take of the day.
I can see that for the simple fact that we played them really good at Autzen last year, but I also don't think we're gonna. I don't know. We haven't beat the Ducks
it's
since
about
2007.
Time. I was about to say it's about it's
Yeah,
about
no,
time.
it is.
Dam.
It is
Build
about
the dam,
yeah.
everybody. Build
Yes.
the dam.
I honestly think we have a shot.
I think that we have a shot if the no natty guy comes and gives them a talk before the game.
They just need to
Little
play
pep talk.
that.
Yeah.
They just need to play that instead of a pump up video on the
Yeah.
Jumbotron, just the no natty
Yeah.
video on
That
the
guy,
Jumbotron.
yeah.
If you have not any listeners, if you've not seen it, go Google no natty or YouTube it.
It's probably got a
some
ton of
good
hits on YouTube.
Entertainment for the next 7 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, I think we're gonna upset Oregon. That's the 6, and that's how we're getting to a terrible bowl game.
I don't know if I can clap for that because I
Who do we
disagree
play
with
in like
3
that?
of those.
Do we play like Rutgers or something?
It would
Yeah,
so
something.
we would get one of those like lower bowl games. I'm
What
trying to think
what
of.
is that lowest bowl game in the
I can't think.
Pac-12?
It's not the.
Is it the Emerald Bowl?
No, they're not in the. They're not in the
I don't
Emerald
think
Bowl.
that's a
They
thing
have the
anymore.
Vegas.
Vegas
That's not even a
Bowl.
thing
Vegas
anymore.
Bowl's number 1.
That's
no,
no,
that's
that's
not
that's
like
the
Alamo
runner up.
number one,
Yeah,
Alamo
runner
number
up.
one.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, we have
The
I think we have
Holiday
6
Bowl's up there
bowls.
too, but we're not going to be going to that.
You know
Yeah,
what it is?
honestly don't know.
It's the New Mexico Bowl.
There's a
Arizona-
Pac-12 team in the.
Yeah, Arizona's won it the past couple of years.
Yeah,
Really.
so-
I'll go down to New Mexico. It sounds like a good time.
Albuquerque's not a bad city. But
All right, so that's how we
Cadets.
get our 6, boys.
all right. I'm guessing there's disagreement on both sides of you right now.
I think I laid my case out pretty strong.
I don't think we need to go into the how much worse it could be, but
True,
I think
How much worse can you
Hold
be
on.
than 2 wins?
No.
Oh, you could not
that's what I'm
win any
saying.
games. You could be Idaho Vandals
I'm
and-
curious to see what the
That's
hot
not gonna
take
happen.
is. So Jeremy thinks Oregon. I want to go through what team, what is going to be the upset? Like, if you give them a win on their schedule, where is the upset? Marv,
big
you thought
upset?
Stanford.
Okay,
I actually
yeah, I would
think
say
Washington,
Stanford.
Stanford.
I think it's going to be Utah. I think Utah lost too many guys, and we have them at home, and we played them well at home. I think Utah. Utah's coming off a
Well,
good
even
season.
last
They've been
year we
strong.
only
Utah's
lost by 8 to them. I think the final score, like They obviously didn't play their best game. Maybe it was more than 8. No, it was 14. 26-12 was the final score last year when we played them.
I would
And
say
that's not that
Boise
bad.
State's going to be the upset, but
Too early in the season, we break
they
late.
don't deserve.
Yeah,
They don't
but I also
deserve
don't
upset.
think that's. I don't know if that's considered an upset
It
because they're
isn't.
like they're from the Mountain
That's
West
right.
in a smaller
Yeah.
conference. So
yeah, it's not an upset.
I would say
not until they
do we
go
play,
to the big boys.
Do we play Arizona at home?
yeah.
Yeah,
I think Arizona. Or Washington State. 'Cause Washington State is on the up and up, and their offense is really hard to. Or it's
They
really
don't
hard
defend
for the
very well,
defenses,
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we didn't defend against the pass very well. So I think Washington State or Arizona. Those aren't really huge upsets.
No.
Arizona's a good pick. Yeah, Utah's not really that big of an upset either.
Yeah, so
All
I
right.
think one of those, but
Beaver Nation, hang in there. Come out to all
That's
the
right.
games. Great atmosphere.
absolutely.
Number 1 college town, U.S.
Yeah, you
Let's go.
bet.
All
That's
right.
true.
So keep sticking to the Pac-12. Do you guys have predictions for the championship game and who's going to win it? Just off
I
the
mean,
top.
Stanford. Like, I think Stanford's there.
Stanford.
I think
SC.
Washington actually could give them a run for their money in the North.
Yeah, a lot of
think
people
like
pick
that.
Washington this year, which is funny because they've been like a very average team the last few years.
I just
and
think Chris Peterson finally has like his team and his recruits together, and I think
True.
they'll have like a big year. I don't think they're gonna win it. I just think they could give them a run to win the North side of the
Okay.
bracket.
What about you, dude? Who do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be USC in the South.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not UCLA? Gosh, I like Jim Moore, though.
I like Jim Moore.
I
too.
like
I
UCLA
don't-
too. They're that quarterback. I can't think of his name. Do you guys?
Yeah, it's
He was a freshman last year, and he
Rosenthal,
performed.
Jacob
Yeah, Rosenthal, yep.
He performed really well last year, and
gonna
I'm
be number one
excited
pick
to see him
today.
play.
I like UCLA. I think that USC in the past couple of years is starting to get their swagger back a little bit, and
Yeah.
I like them. So
now
I,
that
I
Sarkisian's gone.
it's going to be one of the LA teams, one of those 2 LA teams, and I think, I agree with them. I think in the North it's going to be Stanford or
Yeah.
UW.
I think I'm gonna go UCLA and Stanford winning it this year. That's what I
I can
think.
see that. McCaffrey is pretty
Yeah,
good.
I think the Ducks are.
He's a
not-
Heisman front runner.
Ducks are like probably an 8-win team this year. I
Does
think.
a
I'm thinking
Wazoo
more
start
like
to
6.
replace
I'm
the Ducks?
thinking Ducks are
No,
6.
no way.
Wazoo doesn't start to
They're
replace the
never
Ducks?
going to get the recruits.
Where does Oregon finish this year?
6 wins.
I think they finished second in the North, or
I'd give him third.
second or third in the North.
Not 4th, though.
I think that UW or Stanford's going to have an off game and lose to someone they shouldn't, whether that's preseason or during the season.
Just not ready for it.
I think it's gonna go. I think they're gonna go third behind Stanford and UW
can see
by
that.
like one game.
There's a lot of hype around UW, so we'll see.
Yeah, and
we'll have to see if they
everybody's
handle
down
it.
on the Ducks, but for good reason. They like.
Yep.
This is the first year in a while where they don't have like a different. I mean, even last year they went 9-3. It's not like they.
The Alamo Bowl wasn't a great note to finish on.
No,
for them.
absolutely
Seems
not.
like they lost their swag. Like
Yeah.
it's familiar to what happened to West Albany like after we left. Like they know they're supposed to be good, like they have that mentality, but they don't really like they didn't put in the work, kind of like
Yeah.
it's riding coattails, and that never
Yeah,
ends well for
absolutely.
teams.
I think just after Chip Kelly lost,
Right.
like he had the machine going, and I think Helfrich could only do so much. I mean, I don't think he's the same. He's just not as good a quality coach as Chip
big.
Kelly.
I mean,
big.
kudos to him for getting to the championship his
Yep.
first or
Yeah,
first
Mariota-
season.
Yeah.
But
With the
he
playoffs.
also was blessed with the roster that he got that
Yeah,
year.
Mariota was
so.
the perfect quarterback for the
Yeah.
Oregon offense.
Absolutely. So, on a broader sense, we'll go NCAA college football playoffs. Do you guys I know it's like really early and no one's really thinking about it, but if you had to pick just based on what you know right now, who do you think the 4 teams are going to be into the championship?
I have one team that I think I actually have been a fan of them for a little bit. They're my team outside of Oregon State. I think Michigan is going to be back in the top 4 this
I
year.
would love to see Michigan go.
I think Harbaugh is
the
doing
fighting
big
Harbaugh
things.
is
Yes.
huge.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
And they got
I'm
the new
thinking
the Jordan sponsorship now.
Yep.
their recruiting the last 2 years has been insane. So I think they have Jabril Peppers, who plays both ways for him. He's a really good player. I don't know. I think that they're up there. But honestly, I think Clemson is going to be number 1 the
Yeah.
whole season.
I think so,
Deshaun
too.
Watson, I was super impressed in the
The
national
ACC
championship.
is weak, and so is Clemson.
But
So
I have
the
to
only
agree-
reason
I would
Clemson
agree
stays
with
up there
that.
is because they're riding the ACC.
They
But
almost
I don't.
beat- they
But I don't
almost
think
beat
it.
Bama last year.
I was gonna say I don't think
how
it
weak are
matters
they?
because they were like a touchdown. They lost by a touchdown, or not even. It was like 5
It was a
points
super close
to
game
the
to
Alabama. So
perennial
I get
powerhouse.
the ACC's weak because outside of them in North Carolina last year,
That's why I think they'll go all the number
Yeah.
1 the whole
This
season.
is what this is my
Not because they're good. I just want to get that straight.
my take
I
on
think
it
they're good.
versus them. I think it's always hard for a bowl game because I think if you give anybody that long to prepare, I think that if you put Clemson in the SEC for a whole season, like one season, I think that they'd still be good. I don't think they'd be as good in the ACC. And I think the game was so close last year because they were good. But I think when you have a month to prepare for one team, you know their whole playbook inside and out. So
absolutely,
I think Clemson will still be really good this year.
Who did Clemson play in their first game?
They did beat Notre Dame, and Notre Dame was. I know you guys hate Notre Dame, but they were low key legit last year. They were
pretty good last year. If they were okay, they were.
And North Carolina was good. North Carolina finished in the top 15 or 10.
But North Carolina got cheated on their. I will say that on that kickoff, that onside kick in the ACC championship, North Carolina should have won that game. And if they would have won that, they might have gotten into the playoff because they would have been the ACC champion. But that's another conversation. They did beat them. They did beat Notre Dame. What was Notre Dame's record last year?
11-3.
11-3. Okay, yeah, no, because Notre Dame was in until about week 7 or 8, they were in the championship discussion.
Notre Dame would have been. They lost to Stanford on the game-winning field goal, and if they would have beat Stanford, they would have been in for sure.
Yeah,
they don't
absolutely.
have a championship game because they're independent.
No, yeah. So
does the Pac-12 make it back to the tournament?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Quarterback for Stanford though after Hogan left.
Man, I just really feel like Stanford could run.
I think. I don't know. I think they'll get consideration, but it's tough because with the Big 12 not having a championship game and only having 10 teams, I know they're trying to expand now, but it's tough. Getting Oklahoma last year instead
over Pac-12.
It depends.
I could see Oklahoma or
I could see Oklahoma or Baylor or TCU, whoever comes out of the Big 12.
What does the Big 12 have to do? What does the Big 12 have to do without a championship game to solidify that they're worth it?
I mean,
because
what
we can agree
Oklahoma
that
did last year.
TCU and Baylor, not worth it.
No, but 2 years ago, TCU should have gotten in and they didn't. And
maybe, but over who though?
Who was the fourth? Well, Ohio State did win, but if you're gonna go to the criteria that you're going to for the playoff, they technically shouldn't have gotten in.
I think that they need to schedule.
I know they won their championship, but they also lost. Who did they lose? No, they didn't lose. They had a loss that season.
TCU had one
Virginia
loss.
Tech at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and
right.
TCU,
you got to throw that out.
TCU's only loss was to Baylor, who was a top 10 team in the country.
Top 5 team.
Yeah, for the whole season.
That's an interesting conversation. What is, because you mentioned criteria. What is the criteria when you're?
Well, it seems like strength of schedule, and yes, Ohio State had a hard schedule, but the Big 10 wasn't as strong as the Big 12 was that year. Right. I mean, for once, the Big 12 had 5 good teams in that season. So, at least decent teams, not good, but Baylor and TCU are at the top of the standings the whole season. And so for TCU to only have one loss against Baylor, and then the week that they have to prove themselves because there's no championship, they win 52-3 against Iowa State, as they should. I thought they did enough to get in. I was pulling for them that year. And then Ohio State comes back and wins their conference championship, and then they get in. Now, ultimately, they won the championship. So you can argue they were deserving. But like I said, based on what the experts are saying is deserving of getting the championship, they should have put TCU in that year.
I don't trust the experts.
I don't either.
It's kind of weird now because it's not a computer system. It's just a panel of supposed experts, that are just a panel together. So it can be they can really push strength of schedule one year, and then 1 year after, maybe media just has a different viewpoint on what it should be. Maybe they push a different criteria the next year. Yeah. So I mean, it's people, making decisions. It's not computer based, but no one liked that when it was computer based.
This is why, and I think this is my opinion. I think they need to expand the playoff to 8 teams. Because then
I would love that. Yes.
Teams like Houston last year, who aren't in a big conference but had big wins, or Memphis, if they would have finished undefeated after beating Auburn, those teams still can get consideration for that 7th or 8th spot. And you don't have this every year. Well, the 5th team should have been in, or the 6th team could have gotten in too. And yes, if you have 8, the 9th or 10th team is going to say the same thing, but it's more realistic number, though, because you have
and they're going to make so much more money off of just expanding that playoff out.
Does one of those mid majors automatically get a bid in an 8 team?
No, because Houston would have last year. In my
Houston
opinion,
was in the top 8. Yes,
they should because they actually beat Florida State pretty handily in their bowl game too. And I think Houston didn't finish undefeated. I can't believe I don't remember who they.
I can't remember
they
their
one
record.
loss
But
last season.
They played a big school.
It was a close game too. Yeah. So and they took care of everybody in their conference. And then Florida State, obviously it's the ACC, whatever. But Florida State was still a decent team. They were 9th in the country
I think
before
Florida
the bowl
State's
game.
going to be good with Dalvin Cook coming back. Actually,
I think so too.
I think he's going to be in the Heisman race.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to get back into another music set here. And then when we come back, we're going to start talking about the Professional Football League, NFL. So we'll be right back, guys. Oh, sorry. Before we go to break, we have a shout out here real quick.
Oh, I had a shout out. Samantha Pyburn's birthday is today.
Hey, happy birthday.
It's me and Elliot's roommate's sister having a birthday today. So quick shout out for Sam.
Happy birthday, Sam. We'll be right back. 88.7 KBVR Corvallis. This is a Marvelous Monday. I'm your host, Marvelous, joined in the studio by Elliott O'Brien, Jeremy Lepman, Aaron Magnuson, a.k.a. Ace. Welcome back to the show. Now, before the break, we talked about college football, and we had a pretty good chat. That was a lot of fun.
Nice little debate.
Yeah. Now we're gonna jump in. I know there's gonna be a lot of debates on this segment of the show, so we're just gonna get right into it. We'll start with fantasy football because I know you guys are big fans of fantasy. So,
Absolutely.
Just how many leagues do you guys usually play, and are you planning on doing this year? Just a question for everybody.
3. I personally play in 3.
Okay.
I did a little overkill last year. I was in 7.
Whoa. How do you
And-
keep up with all those?
Goodness gracious.
Well, I didn't. That was the problem.
Spread thin.
Yeah, I was spread a little thin. Yeah, I don't know why or how I got into 7 leagues, but I'm a yes man. I just wanted to be in all of them. Most of them were for money, but the one that we've been playing for years, what was it, like $100 buy-in? So you actually have to come prepared to that.
Yeah.
You won where it counted.
And yeah, brought home
So
the
you,
ship in that one last
nice.
year. So it's
2.
get a little
I was
time.
in two leagues. None of them for money, actually. But one was a live draft, and one is just kind of like a league that we've had going with like some family people. So
Nice.
yeah.
All right.
I did not win either of them, if you're wondering.
Sorry about that. Did you win any last year? No.
Last year's the first year I didn't make the playoffs.
Oh.
Before that,
Rough.
I got 3rd the previous 3 years in a row. So I think Jared's actually a 3-time champion. I'm talking him up over here, but
That's right.
This is where I make my push. This is the year. I have the number 2 overall pick actually, so that's a
Oh,
little
there we go.
nerve-wracking. I have 2 people I've narrowed it down to. One's a gamble. One's I hope a sure thing.
So what are your
Do
2
share.
people though
Do
at the
share.
number 2 spot?
At the number 2 spot, I'm looking at Danny. Hope you're not listening. He's number 1. We're looking at Todd Gurley because he balled out last year.
Yep.
Or I'm picking my boy Ezekiel Elliott.
That,
Right.
I think that's risky just because he's a rookie.
This is a good segue in the next question. Who do you think's gonna, like, if you had to pick, like, if you guys have a first draft pick, so you would pick Todd Gurley or Ezekiel Elliott. If you had a first draft pick, who are you going with? Who do you think's gonna be your top guy?
Honestly, well, I'm in our big league. I'm in the 13 spot, so I'm not going to get him. But I think with Martavius Bryant gone, Antonio Brown
Yeah, he's
Okay.
gonna be
is
good.
easy the
Yeah.
number 1 overall pick for
Okay.
me. But
I have a completely different strategy. I do not pursue the running back. I don't fantasize about the running back. I
The
don't
zero running
any of
back
that.
strategy.
I
Very
there
nice.
are quarterbacks and receivers I draft before running backs.
A big question though. How many people are in your league?
True enough. So one of my leagues I think had 10, and the other had like 12 seems too high. I think they both had 10.
That's a good amount though.
so
Right,
you can
yeah.
you can actually wait on players in those leagues and just get studs up front for whatever position you want, and you get running backs later. But the one we play in is 14 teams. So it's really
And it
scarce
snakes,
once you get to maybe the 5th or 6th round. It starts getting really scarce, like the
Yeah.
talents.
But if you're in the first even 3 picks, there aren't quarterbacks you're taking before a running back.
No,
Not like an Aaron
I wouldn't-
Rodgers.
I don't take
guess
a
it depends on the
quarterback.
points, right? Too, like how they do the points. But
Yeah.
in general, I feel like
That's-
I would take a
that was gonna
quarterback
be my
over
next
running
question,
backs.
yeah.
I don't take a quarterback
Nobody does.
till like the 8th round or later, just because in our league it's standard scoring, so it's 4 points for a quarterback for a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And I find that I can get someone really late that is essentially obviously not going to have the stats of an Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
But it won't be that big of a difference compared to if I get a running back really late and then the running back like an Adrian Peterson and maybe like a Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis. Like the difference there is just gigantic instead of like a Carson Palmer
Yeah.
who I got like in the 10th round last year. And someone took Aaron Rodgers in the 1st, and Carson Palmer was like the number 4 quarterback.
So now you are in 7 leagues. Do you play the same strategy in every single league? Is that based, or is it just based on how the scoring goes?
Well, PPR, I like tend to use wide receivers earlier just because you get more points for that. Or you like take like a Giovanni Bernard or like a running back like that gets the ball thrown
Yeah,
to him a
absolutely.
lot. But essentially, yeah, it's just kind of like because you go in with what you think is going to happen, and then all the players you want aren't there when you're picking. So it's
The
kind of just
person in front of you always picks the person that you're just about to pick. You're like, no one's gonna pick this guy. Like no one should pick him. I'm so glad I'm gonna get him. Then the guy right in front of you always picks him.
Yeah. Well, and I've never done fantasy football, but when I did basketball, I found the same thing. So like, as there's only there's not as many rounds, but I found that like I'm gonna have a plan B, just so if that person gets picked, I gotta have this person in the bag in case that one gets taken.
Right. Yeah. So. I was in the 5th round last year. I remember because it was like the one player I was like high on that I didn't think other people were. And a kid in front of me picked Allen Robinson. He ended up being a top 5 wide receiver.
Oh, wow.
And you get him in the 5th round. That's really good, right? Mm-hmm. But ended up with Greg Olsen, who didn't do terrible for me. But
let me just say why I don't feel bad for Jeremy. Well, he won the league, so obviously he knew what he was doing.
So that's your first reason.
So maybe the worst trade in the history of fantasy football.
It worked out great for me, though.
It did work out great for Jared. So straight across, he traded Stevie Johnson on the Chargers, who did nothing. I like Stevie Johnson.
Okay, well, we need some background.
Was that a homer pick, though? Was that a homer pick, the Stevie Johnson?
He traded Stevie Johnson for Cam Newton straight across.
Okay.
So who was...
Are you going to name... Yeah, exactly.
Who took that
Nathan
trade?
Boone.
Yeah, he needs to be name dropped. Are you kidding me?
No names on radio. No names on radio. Okay, so this is the context, though. To be fair to Nathan, he had Tom Brady and Tony Romo. Tony Romo gets hurt, so he's playing Tom Brady the whole year. Cam's on his bench because Tom Brady was on fire the first half of the season last year.
That is true.
So he's not playing Cam Newton. So I think one of his wide receivers might have got hurt. And so I had Stevie Johnson, and that was right after Keenan Allen got hurt. So Stevie Johnson was now the number 1 in San Diego. And you know what? He traded it for me.
And to his
hook, line, and sinker.
To Nathan's defense, he was at a Blazer game. He wasn't paying attention. He was with his wife at a Blazer game, and he just
I don't know about this. I didn't fleece him. He just
he made a trade. Wasn't paying attention. He saw. I think he maybe accidentally clicked it. So to his
I think that's erroneous over here. I don't know if he knows what he's talking about, but no, yeah, it just kind of worked out that way. And I had Carson Palmer, so he was doing good, but. Essentially, Cam won me the championship last year.
That's rough. Well, I mean, not for you, but
no, it wasn't rough for me.
So
it's quite nice, actually.
As far as like up and coming players, you just said you took a shot. You were going to take a shot on someone that you didn't think anyone else was high on. Who is someone that you're high on right now that you maybe other people aren't, or you think is going to take a step this year and help your fantasy team?
And let's see.
That's a question for everybody too.
It's really August, so it's like kind of hard to tell. But like another player last year that I thought would do pretty good, just because I had watched him kind of at the end of the season before, was John Brown for the Cardinals, and he ended up doing pretty good. But it's really tough because there's so many injuries that you almost forget about players that tore an ACL last year or were out the last half of last season. So, but actually, there's a few players that I think could be good. But it just kind of depends on opportunity, because if other players get hurt, then they could step in and just have monster years. I actually think Thomas Rawls is really good for the Seahawks.
All right.
He was on my team last year for a little bit until he hurt his ankle. But yeah, but it just kind of I feel like it's all about opportunity. I don't know what you guys think.
What do you think, Ace? Do you have a player that you're high on that maybe no one else is?
So last year I married CJ Anderson, and that's so I'm a little bit bitter, and that's where my argument about the running back falls apart. But I will kind of start to change my tune, I think, a little bit, because running backs are even more critical now with not knowing who's going to get the majority of the carries, because many of the teams do running back by committee.
Yep.
So I guess my take would be I think I'm willing to marry CJ Anderson again, and I think a lot of people are going to be cool off of him, and that's the homer pick. But I really think that he's gonna he's coming back. He had that whole thing with Miami, the kind of misunderstanding and kind of going there, and some backlash with Denver, and now coming back. I think he's got some stuff to prove. So
yeah, but what round would you feel comfortable taking him in? Because you probably won't take him in the first round again.
Correct. I don't think I took him in the first round last year either, but maybe early second. Like I said, my quarterback strategy, if there are certain quarterbacks that are still on the board, I'm taking them before a running back. But again, that depends on the league, depends on the points. What round? I don't know. Some people are saying that he could be falling to the 5th round or even the third round.
Yeah, you could probably get him the 3rd or 4th, definitely.
Yeah. And I think that I would do that again.
All right. What about you, El? You got a player?
Yeah, I mean, it's like a little bit of a homer pick, but I think he's going to be good. Will Fuller got taken by the Texans, I think like 15th overall. DeAndre Hopkins, who had a monster year last year for the Texans. I think that Will Fuller is super, super fast. He's going to open up the deep game. And so I think he could have a good year. I don't know if he's going to be like an Odell Beckham, his rookie. I don't think he's going to have that kind of season, but I think that he could be like a solid wide receiver too. So we'll
Actually,
see.
some breaking news out of Chargers camp today.
Oh, let's hear it.
Stevie Johnson, who as you know, I was just talking about 5 minutes ago, I traded last year for fantasy. He tore his meniscus today, so he's going to be out maybe for the season. So the number 2 there for sure is now Travis Benjamin, who had a good year last year at the Browns, and we signed him for like an $8 million a year deal. So we're going to get him the ball a lot, I think.
Joey Bats, is he signed yet?
You mean Joey Bosa? Bosa. Unfortunately, Joey Bosa has not agreed to terms with with my team, but he will, and he's going to be the next JJ Watt. You just see. So
we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna transition just a little bit because I know all of your favorite teams now. And I'm going to ask you a specific question about your favorite team. We'll start with the defending champions, Broncos. Do you think they overpaid for Von Miller?
No, I don't. I think Von Miller is different than a J.J. Watt, because J.J. Watt hasn't won a Super Bowl, being highly paid how he is. And Von Miller really did. As much as I hate to say it, my boy Mike Remmers is the one who got eaten alive in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
He's in the NFL and I'm not, so... kudos to him for even being in the Super Bowl, playing with Cam Newton, fellow Beaver, for those of you who remember Mike Remmers. But I think Von Miller actually really, like they say, don't overpay defensive players. But I think kind of what changes his a little bit too is the longevity of his contract and keeping him in Denver for that price, which scares some people off. But I'm totally fine with that. I think we overpaid for Demaryius Thomas.
Yeah, I was going to say that was about to go to that.
Not a lot of people want to talk about. I am not a fan of Demaryius Thomas. I don't get it. He's dropped the ball forever since he's been in Denver.
He definitely has, and I think I personally don't like the $70 million guarantee. The whole contract is whatever, but the $70 million guarantee seems like a lot. Yes, he did win the Super Bowl MVP. Yes, he did kind of carry them to the playoffs because Peyton was not at his best. Obviously, he was on his way out. I just think
been gold since he's been there.
He has been gold, but $70 million, like everybody else's fears, is a lot for a defensive player.
It is.
Yeah,
I'm to answer your question, I'm okay with it.
Okay,
and part of that has to do with who gave him the $70 million in John Elway, and I think he's made great decisions.
True. That is true.
So
John Elway is a smart man because he did not sign a big deal to Brock Osweiler.
Yeah,
that's
correct.
what I'm saying.
Yes,
that was smart.
A great take,
ladies
ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Mark Sanchez, fantasy player of the year, maybe.
Hey, he had a few good years for the Jets. He brought him to 2 AFC Championship games in a row.
Yeah.
And then the butt fumble.
And then everything went downhill after that. So
new era.
We're gonna save the worst team for last, the Chargers. So we're gonna go over to Elliott real quick.
Come on now.
The Cardinals. Do you think they're gonna be as good as they were last year, or was last year a fluke?
Yeah, I think, excuse me, I think they're going to be good again this year. I think their defense is going to be, you have Tyrann Mathieu back this year. I think you have Patrick Peterson, who's been he's probably my favorite player in the league, has been since he was at LSU. I think their defense is absolutely stacked. I think that's going to help carry them because I think defense really wins the championships, as we've seen with the Seahawks and Broncos the past couple of years. So I don't think last year is a fluke. I'm interested to see how their offense is going to be. But yeah, I think they're going to be good. I think John Brown, some other players emerged.
David Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. David Johnson. So they had some good players. So
yeah,
I think the defense is what's going to win it for them. But it'll be interesting to see. I'm excited to watch.
That was one I was going to get to, is their defense. I don't question their defense at all. The only thing is John Brown did come on strong, but can Carson Palmer continue to play at the level that he did? Because
how old is Carson?
He's 33.
He's been around for
he's been around for a little bit. So
35. I'm on it though, Wiki.
35.
He's
up there in age, and he's had a couple injuries, so that's something to keep an eye on. And I mean, luckily he didn't get hurt last season because they had a really good run last year. But That's the only thing is I question his durability and if he can keep up the high level of play like consistently through the season.
And Larry Fitzgerald really re-emerged last year. He had a big year for, he kind of had not down years, but he wasn't performing like he used to. He's getting older, and he had a big year. And Michael Floyd's good, and I think it'll be good. Yeah, David Johnson. So I think they'll be good.
All right, now over to the Chargers.
Well, just so you know, Carson Palmer 36.
Oh, 36.
Actually. So he's
am I the only one that bases like a big time quarterback? Like Carson Palmer is like on NCAA football 04. Like that's how you know how long they've been in the league. Am I the only one that does it?
Well, no, I mean, I
unfortunately they stopped making the game.
Yeah, I was gonna say they don't make the game anymore, so I actually forgot about that. But so over to the Chargers. Sorry,
Larry Fitz. 05.
Usually we save the best for last, but we're gonna go to the worst for last year. With how they've been.
You're killing me.
I actually am with you on something though, because a lot of people hate on Phillip Rivers because the Chargers.
He's a fiery one. A lot
of the Chargers have not had success with him at the quarterback now. But personally, I think he's underrated. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's like top tier, but I think he gets too much flack for how good he has done statistic wise. Winning wise, you can say that.
No, but I mean, to be realistic, he's like a second tier quarterback. But he's been like, I would say, pretty solid. I mean, when we had LT, that was our best years, and we kind of shot those away.
Yeah.
But now we have the offensive line problems were ridiculous. We had like 16 different offensive linemen. None of them were good because the starters, we had like 2 get injured in camp last year before the season.
I actually got a call from the San Diego Chargers wanting me to come out to camp, and that's a joke.
Wait, I was like, really?
Well, they were probably calling anybody with a big body, because it was a rough time for the Chargers last year, and I think their biggest deficit that really kills them is the lack of pass rush. So I think that's why Joey Bosa would be big for our team, and Melvin Ingram was hurt most of last year too, and he was really good out of South Carolina.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be better. I'm not a huge Eric Weddle guy, so he can bon voyage. Yeah, he can have a good time.
What about Melvin Gordon? I took him high in fantasy. I thought he was gonna have a big year.
I'm not sold.
I watched him at Wisconsin, and he was amazing running back. And I just
shut him down. Beav shut him down.
Monty Ball.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
I take shut down Monte Ball. Yeah, but I actually think he'll be pretty good. I'm not like guaranteeing a 1,000-yard season. But I think it was kind of tough when we had all the O-line injuries. We had. I'm not guaranteeing a 1,000-yard season. I just said I think he'll have a good season. I'm not saying it's 1,000 yards.
So what are you guaranteeing?
So
then?
Can you let me finish my point?
I'm not saying he's going to run for 2,000 yards, but
let me finish my point.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Cardinals homer, or is it Seahawks? You switch every
year. He's all in with the Arizona Cardinals.
Okay. Yeah. Anywho, so. I just think he'll have a better season because the O-line was hurt. He started off slow, and I think he lost a lot of confidence after that. Plus, they were playing Danny Woodhead a lot because they trusted him more after a couple early fumbles that Melvin Gordon had in the season.
Yeah.
So I think that ate at his confidence, and I think all I know is shout out to Austin Radcliffe if he's listening up in Portland. But
Big Ticket
texted me about 2 weeks ago letting me know that he was training with Adrian Peterson this offseason.
Oh.
So if he can stay with Adrian Peterson training wise, then I think he'll be ready to go for the year.
Yeah, that was the thing with Melvin Gordon. That's why I'm not questioning his ability as a runner, but he fumbles a lot, and he did
Adrian Peterson, though.
No, he does, but he did so when he was at Wisconsin too. That was like his glaring weakness when he was playing at Wisconsin. So
if he rushes for 1,200 yards, he can fumble 10 times as long as they're not in critical moments.
Yep. All right. Fair enough. All right. Now we're gonna move on to the awards predictions for next year. So we're gonna start with Coach of the Year, and I'm gonna start this one because we just talked about your team, the Cardinals. I actually think Bruce Arians is going to win Coach of the Year this year because I don't think that the Panthers are going to go 15-1 again, and they're not going to overtake him. And I think if there's a team that's next up, I think it's the Cardinals. Barring any health issues, I think that Coach Bruce Arians will probably win it next year.
I'm surprised he probably hasn't already.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't already. But my take, I think, actually, I'm kind of weirdly high on the Jets since they signed Fitzpatrick. Yeah, I think they have a really good defense. With Matt Forte in the backfield, I think they'll be really good. I usually don't trust the Jets because they usually somehow shoot themselves in the foot.
That's when Rex Ryan
But
was
I actually
there,
think
though.
that Todd Bowles is a really good defensive coach.
And they like they had a winning record, 9-7 last year.
Yeah, and they didn't make the
Yeah.
playoffs, but they have Brandon Marshall. If Ryan Fitzpatrick can just be competent, I think that they'll
Todd
be
Bowles
pretty
is
good.
good.
See, this is what bothers me now. I'm a Bears fan, and all the ex-Bears players seem to go to the Jets always. Thomas Jones back in the day, now Matt Forte, Brandon Marshall. It just the continual.
I never even noticed that.
No, and they always let these guys go, and the Jets hop right on it. It's smart because they're always good players, and the Bears haven't made the best decisions over the last few years. But
signing Cutler long term. Let's start one of the bad decisions.
Don't get me started, please. All right, who do you think is going to be coach of the year?
I'm going to go the opposite direction. I'm telling you who's not going to win, and that's
Okay.
Chip Kelly and the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, absolutely not.
And I
We
don't
do
have
have a Niners fan listening right now.
I don't have
Yes.
anything
Hot
against.
take.
I don't have anything against Chip Kelly. I loved watching the Ducks in college. I absolutely loved watching them and the system he runs. I just think, let's be realistic. I just think people are too big. They're too fast. Like you can't have someone like a Marcus Mariota that's going to outrun corners and stuff in college. Like a quarterback, unless you're Michael Vick, like in 2004, like you're not going to outrun anybody on the field. So
No.
I don't know. Maybe he's going to switch it up when he goes to the 49ers.
I have a
I
different
think
take on
he's
Chip
very-
Kelly. I think he's actually going to do a good job down there.
I don't.
I'm
He's
in on
very
that.
I think
arrogant.
if,
He thinks he knows
anyone
everything.
can bring Colin Kaepernick back from the dead, it's Chip
Oh,
Kelly.
absolutely.
But that's it, though. Like look at how on the Eagles the roster he had the first season. Yes, they made the playoffs. Did they? Not first season. 10-6 when Vic was the starter for a while
Yeah.
before he got hurt.
He has a
But-
winning record in the NFL.
Yeah, but last year he gets rid of all of his good players, which I don't know why the Eagles gave him any personnel control at all. He rookie coach or second year coach traded away all of his good players. Thought he knew everything, and then they go 7-9.
I think he's kind of an egomaniac.
No, yeah,
and
he's
he
very
wanted
arrogant, too.
more power than he probably should have had. And I know for sure that he doesn't have that power with the 49ers.
No,
He's just
but
coaching.
He tried
So
to bring
think-
all his Ducks players back too, and when he was on the Eagles, which is fine if they're able to compete at that
And
level,
be
which not all of them
productive, yeah.
were. So
But you
I
have to
don't
know who you have too. Like he did not use. DeMarco Murray.
at all.
I mean, obviously, granted, the Eagles' offensive line wasn't as good as the Cowboys, but like the way he used them was the complete opposite of the kind of runner that DeMarco is. So it's like you have to know your personnel. But I think Kaepernick, like Jer said, is like a perfect system quarterback for him. They don't have Reggie Bush anymore because he just went to the Bills today, which will be interesting.
He's
So
old anyways.
He is. He's out of his prime, but we'll see. They don't really have a lot of receivers for the most part. They have Torrey
that's
Smith,
what
who's
kills
not good.
them.
Yeah,
They
their defense
only have
isn't
Torrey Smith,
phenomenal
yeah.
anymore because so many guys retired or did it, whatever. So we'll see. I think it'll be interesting.
I just don't think they're just going to be a tire fire. I think they'll be okay. But I just think they play in the best division
Yeah.
in football.
That's the thing. If the Niners do bad, I think it will be, my take is more along the lines with Jeremy. If the Niners do bad, it's because of personnel and the dumpster fire that they were, and mostly because they might be in the best division in football this year.
I would
Yeah.
agree with that.
Absolutely. All right, let's keep it moving because we're running a little short on time here. We're already at 6:30. So, Coach of the Year, Ace.
This is my hot take of the show. Mike Zimmer, Minnesota Vikings.
Wow.
Love Mike Zimmer. Fell in love with him watching Hard Knocks. I think he's fantastic. Minnesota making it to the playoffs last year. Really just a kicker away from winning. So my hot take is Mike Zimmer.
All right, MVP. I got Cam Newton repeating.
Ooh.
You know, I don't watch the NFL as much. Like I could tell you for college, I watch NFL because I watch my players for fantasy, but I don't watch it enough to give you like an MVP thing. But I don't think Cam would be a bad pick, or I think a running back could have a big year.
My second pick was Todd Gurley.
Odell Beckham,
Which is a bold pick,
Has it
but-
like a receiver? Do they win very? Like I feel like an Odell
Not
Beckham or
usually.
Antonio Brown could.
You
be,
have to. I could actually see Antonio Brown getting close to 2,000 yards receiving.
No,
But-
they have him on a lot of articles as one of the like dark horses for an MVP next year.
Yeah, I think for a receiver to win it, you have to almost break records, and your team has to be doing so well that year. And it kind of just seems like whoever wins the MVP, their team
It's really good.
Does 4 or 5 wins better than they were projected to.
Yeah.
And they're the ones leading.
Aaron
them.
Rodgers,
Yeah, you think so?
Packers,
All right.
comeback season.
And then we have Offensive Player of the Year. That's where I put Todd Gurley because he was my second pick for MVP. And I think he already had a big year last year. And I think he's just going to continue to get better. He's a strong runner. And he does have a little bit of an injury history. But as long as he stays healthy, I think he can, not easily, but I think he can win Offensive Player of the Year.
I'd agree with that. I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to win Rookie of the Year if he stays healthy.
That's my pick for Rookie
Yeah.
of the Year, too.
Yeah. I actually weirdly was thinking more along the lines with Aaron for offensive and MVP.
I went
year
back and forth, yeah.
Because I just think Aaron Rodgers, he's kind of, just been in that elite category, but only having one Super Bowl. I think this year, from, I don't know, just stuff you hear over Twitter, following all these NFL insiders, that his regimen has just been insane this entire offseason, and he's like super focused. So I could easily see Aaron Rodgers winning Offensive Player of the Year and MVP.
All right. Ace, who do you got for offense?
Yeah, that's a little bit tougher. I fall kind of in the same boat as L with the NFL, and I don't care that much about the awards. I don't actually follow up to see who wins those things. But I do think that Offensive Player of the Year could go to a receiver more than MVP, but because there are some just incredible receivers. I don't know. I could go with Antonio Brown winning, just having like a stellar year and just Offensive Player of the Year.
Absolutely. All right, so defensive, I've got your boy Von Miller, because I think when you sign a contract like he just signed and you had the season that you had last season, you kind of have to validate yourself and prove that you are worth. I mean, you don't have to. No, I mean you're going to get your money either way, but just from a standpoint, like you need to prove yourself, and I think that he's going to do so next year because he needs to. The Broncos are going to need a lot of help. They lost a few guys, so. And losing Peyton on the offensive end is like, it's pretty big.
Even more, yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to need the defense even more. What do you guys think for defensive? Got any?
I love cornerbacks and safeties.
I do too.
Yeah.
I always like the secondary.
But they have to have such an incredible year interception wise.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm high on. Well, I just watched All In with the Arizona Cardinals on Amazon Prime. That's a little spot there. But I don't know. I could see. I think. Am I wrong in saying that Tyrann Mathieu was in the conversation for that last year?
The honey badger.
Yeah,
he
before he got hurt,
though, right? I think he might be comeback player of the year.
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe didn't get injured early enough, but
it was pretty late.
That would be my take. I love secondary players. So
obviously, as a linebacker, I think you could just shoe in Luke Kuechly for like top 5 every year.
Absolutely.
He's just so solid. So if he doesn't get concussions like he did last year, which is pretty hard to not get a concussion when you play linebacker in the NFL, but that's a whole different story. But if he stays healthy, I think he'll be in the consideration easily. Yeah.
All right, and then
I would agree with those.
Yeah.
I'd say one of those.
Okay, and then last one, and then we have Super Bowl predictions right after that. But comeback player, you just said Tyrann Mathieu. I'm going with Andrew Luck. I know not a lot of people are high on him, but he did play injured all of last season, and that's really only his only bad year he's had. He does throw a little bit too many interceptions for my liking, but I think he's going to come back strong. Also getting a huge contract this year. I think he's going to come back strong and try to prove himself and prove that last year he was playing hurt and that's why he had a bad year.
I would say Jamal Charles. A lot of people kind of forgot about him.
Forget about that.
It's his second torn ACL, but I've noticed that the last 5 years, definitely since Adrian Peterson has done it, I've noticed people coming back from ACL tears and actually being very productive. So I could see him winning it.
I would go with, speaking of Rodgers, I'd maybe say Jordy Nelson for the Packers. I think we'll see how much that Rodgers slings it this year. You know, if Eddie Lacy's back in shape and they ground pound it a little bit more.
Not eating too many.
I like both those picks. Both those picks are
Jordy
good.
Nelson, Jamar Charles all those are. I think those are all good picks.
Yep.
Jay Cutler in the running at all? Marv?
Absolutely not. Super Bowl predictions. I got. Man, this is tough. I think the Panthers are going to get back next year. I don't know why. I just have that gut feeling
goes
that
with your MVP pick.
I think the Panthers are going to get back, and then I don't know. I want to hear you guys first before I pick the other one.
I think the Packers honestly have a really good shot, if not the Patriots, because Tom's hair is going to be on fire after his little suspension that he has to serve. So once he comes back from that, he's going to be trying to light the NFL blaze. But I would probably say Packers or the Patriots. If not the Chargers, you know.
Oh, okay.
They make a late run. Yeah.
What do you got, Ace?
That would probably be number 2 for me. I would say Packers Patriots, which actually it's funny because my prediction goes in line with what happened in history with 96, 97 Super Bowls. 96 was Packers Patriots, and I'm going to say Denver Packers. That's kind of a homer pick, but I could just as easily see Packers Patriots.
Hopefully
but I won't be that guy.
Sanchez takes you there. The Sanchez, hopefully.
But I think Packers Carolina NFC Championship game.
Don't sleep on Paxton Lynch. I could see him being a good.
Being
a good quarterback.
Don't sleep on Sanchez. Don't sleep on Sanchez.
Oh, I'm sleeping. I've been sleeping on Sanchez. He's done. But
I'm gonna go with the. I don't really know the divisions that well. I want to say that the Patriots are gonna win it all, though. I think, like Jer said, that I think Tom's gonna be. He's getting older, which he's still maybe the GOAT for quarterbacks. Could be. But I think he's gonna come out. He's gonna want to have something to prove. And the Patriots they always find a way. It seems like no matter if they have any big time players, but I think they're gonna do good. I think they're taking it.
All right. Thank you guys, and we will be right back. When we come back, we're gonna talk about we're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna talk about some college memories, good times. So we're gonna play a couple of songs for you guys, and we'll be right back.
Ayo.
88.7 KBVR Corvallis. Marvelous Monday. We're back, and we're gonna get into some college stories here. Now, you guys are all Oregon State grads. Represent. Go Beavs.
Go Beavs.
Go
Now
Beavs.
we'll start over here at Ace. What is if you had to pick? I know there's obviously a ton of memories you make in college, but if you had to go back, what's the favorite or one that stands out to you?
So I'm really glad I thought about this right before it came to me, right before the commercial break ended. So my wife, not wife at the time, and not even girlfriend at the time, I didn't even know Megan at the time, lived in the same dorm that Jeremy
Down the hall.
just down the hall, where the rest of the volleyball
Bloss Bombers
players lived,
That's right.
the Bloss Bombers.
Bloss Hall.
And there was one night, and I was not there for this, so this was told to me secondhand, actually, after I met Megan, which makes this even more hilarious. So Jeremy and his buddy, you said Edward? Edwards is his last name.
Al Ed.
Al Ed. Okay,
Yeah,
Al
let's just
Ed.
keep
They
it at
were
that.
going around knocking door to door, looking for some cards, probably up to some shenanigans, and they were looking for some cards, and they ended up knocking on my future wife's door, and she thought they were creepers, and I was told this story
Right.
from her perspective when I first heard it, and I did not associate creepers with Jeremy, but she recognized Jeremy when she met him later, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's that kid that knocked on my door looking for cards." And I was like,
apparently that night, you're a freshman in college. We might have been partaking in some adult beverages, and we were trying to play, as most of you guys know, drinking games. Sometimes you play with cards. So we were going around. Of course, we didn't have any. So we were going around trying to get some cards, and I believe they said no, and we don't drink. So
Megan
basically.
did not get you any cards.
That's
But
okay though. But then the friendship started there.
The friendship, it did.
There we
go.
It really just set the tone for the rest of my life. So thank you, Jeremy.
Yes, exactly.
All right, we'll jump over to L. Do you have a certain? Oh, Jeremy first. Okay, we'll go to Jeremy then. What do you got for me?
Well, I have a couple I could share. There's one about when I was only member of a sorority I was working for the sorority at the time, and everyone else got arrested except for me that worked for the sorority. I could tell that one, but just for legality's sake, I won't go into that one. But I was talking to the Secret Service that day. That was kind of cool.
Nice.
wearing a Hawaiian shirt, I believe it was.
I was wearing a Hawaiian shirt. Yes, it was a spring term. I thought it was a good time to wear a Hawaiian shirt. Apparently not, because the Secret Service was talking to me. So I'm sure I gave the fraternity stereotype pretty hard there. I guess I was
That's
just...
unrelated to him creeping on my wife or my future wife. It's
I
unrelated.
wasn't creeping. I was asking for a deck of cards. I guess we could have been doing it creepily. I don't know. Anywho, so the story I guess I'll tell really quick was there was one night, actually, Elliot was a part of this. There was, I guess, a group of people. I won't, I guess, say who they were affiliated with, but we were having some adult beverages, and it ended up being a lot of fraternities and sororities. They would steal each other's composites, which are just basically a huge picture that has everyone's face on it. It says who's in the fraternity or sorority for the year, and so it's some fun thing to do. So you kind of break in and steal a picture, and then you give it back to them, and it's supposed to be fun. Anyways, so we were trying to do that. So we were going around to different sororities trying to steal the composite for something fun to do with all the kids from the fraternity. And we get to the last one down the street, the farthest, and it's like 8 of us, and we're like, how are we gonna do it? How are we gonna break in? And so my friend has a bright idea to jump on the fire escape and get back, or kind of climb onto this, I guess, like a little deck on the second story that they had at the sorority. And then he's like, I can't do it alone. And then, peer pressure falls in, and I climb after he gets up. I climb on the fire escape and get up there. And apparently we were making some noise because this girl said, "What the bleep are you doing?" And she knew my name, Jeremy. And then we freaked out. And so we, jumped on to the fire escape, and it was, I guess, perpendicular to the building, standing upright. Yeah. So he jumped on one side and I jumped on the other side, and he was heavier than me at the time. So the fire escape went all the way up, and it flung me about 20 feet in the air, and he went running off, and I was so high up I could see like 10 kids scattering because it set off the alarm when the fire escape was moved. So there's an alarm going off at 8 a.m, just like loud throughout the streets, and it's like a Saturday morning or something, and I'm just seeing all these kids. So I fall off and do like a little barrel roll once I hit the ground, and
parkour.
And I remember, we get back to our fraternity, and we had all these composites, right? And now the sororities want them back. So that's what you do. You give them back, right? But our president, who was partaking in all these, fun times throughout the night, he actually locked them in a room and forgot where he put the key. Oh. So there was all about 8 composites all in this room, and he forgot where he put the key. And I guess that was a fun memory from college.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That sounds like fun. Well, except for the falling off the fire escape. It sounds like a fun night.
It was more of a jump, but it might as well have been a fall. But yeah.
All right, Elle, you got anything quick, bro? Here we got a few more minutes.
Just real quick. There's one of our. He's actually a very well-established golfer. First name Nick. He's actually playing in Asia right now on the Asian tour. But when we were in college, I think most of our viewers or listeners have heard of Western Wednesday at the old Peacock Bar and Grill. So
you're gonna throw this one at him. Okay,
good times.
So we were there, and everyone has the world-renowned Peacock PBRs, and so we were there, and so he finds a gal, and they're doing some dancing out there, and throughout the night he would come over and we'd have some conversations, but throughout the night, of course, he was drinking more, and so then but the twirls got a little bit quicker throughout the night, or a little bit faster at the spin sit, and I just remember thinking this is not going to end well, probably, and so I look over at one point. And he's feeling good. He's laughing. He's giggling, and he sends the girl out, but just lets go, or just a little too far.
He spins her out a little too hard. You could say
too hard. Maybe went for a dip. I can't quite remember. And the girl went down hard on the dance floor. Oh, and it's packed.
The music could have shut off. I don't know. It was
exactly. It was a debacle. And so I was like, was she okay? And of course she's super embarrassed. Her friend was there or whatever, and she got off. And then the next thing I know, I look over and he's just sitting in the stage watching people with his head in his hands, just so embarrassed. Sweating also profusely, but
it's hot up there.
That's pretty embarrassing though.
But yeah, it wasn't good. I know it's a little bit at his expense, but it was just one of those funny college stories, something to see. And he's a smooth guy, so it's kind of funny to see him off of his
out
game.
Of character, definitely
out of character for him.
Absolutely. All right, so we got 6 minutes here, rapid fire. And I didn't tell everybody this question before, so we're gonna see what you get. Elliot, if you could go back and tell freshman you something or give advice, what would you say?
I still say it now to my friends, but I think the biggest thing is don't be afraid to be great. Just be responsible and safe, but just have a good time, meet as many people as you can, really enjoy the time, because 4 or 5 years, however long it takes different people, it goes by really fast. So really just do as much as you can, be involved, have a good time, meet new people, and don't be afraid to be great.
Awesome. Jeremy?
He stole kind of part of what I was going to say. I was just going to say that basically get involved in every opportunity you have to do stuff and meet new people, because it ends up, you might think, oh, maybe it's not cool, or maybe I'm not going to be good at this, or you're scared or whatever. But if you kind of just face the fear and go do something and meet new people, it just kind of ends up, at least from my perspective, it ended up being like something I really treasured, because I met all these new people, and maybe it wasn't like the easiest thing to do something out of character for yourself. But if you go out and just kind of push your limits and just join different things and do different things with different people, it ends up, I think, working out good, especially in your college career. So that's what I would recommend to
Absolutely.
myself.
Ace?
I would tell myself, go back and tell myself and just kind of remind myself and pull back, now that I have a pulled back view of college, all of the people and just the vast amount of people that you meet at college and get the cool opportunity to interact with. Particularly for me on the football team, when I stopped playing football, I kind of just removed and disassociated myself, partially because the schedules are so different from a regular student and a football player and their schedule. But I would have taken better advantage of those opportunities and those relationships to just kind of further our relationships together and not be so quick to have removed myself from those. So I would just kind of give older Aaron or young Aaron at the time just a perspective on how cool of an opportunity that is.
Absolutely.
Marv, can I have a quick question for you?
Yeah, what's up?
So I believe you have 7 days left until you're
7 more days
with
of class.
college
Yeah.
completely, summer classes. So congratulations. So,
Thank you.
I'm sure you've already answered it, but now that you're just really at the very, very end of finishing college career, like what was your favorite thing about, you came from Texas. So what was your favorite thing about Oregon State in your college career?
Good question.
Oh, that's a tough question. But if I had to answer that, I would probably say getting involved here at KBVR. I started off as a music major and didn't really, I wanted to be a music producer, but I didn't really know how I wanted to go about it. And after my freshman year, I wasn't really enjoying the music program too much here. So I thought, what can I do to get back into sports somehow without playing it, but another way? And KBVR was the best outlet for that. And I waited until the spring term of my sophomore year, but then I went out for anchor auditions, got the spot for the reporter sports of that term, and then been producing for the last 2 years. And I think going out for those anchor auditions was the best decision I made. So I would say the last 2 years working here at KBVR has probably been my favorite part about OSU.
Yeah, this is cool. And that's like the cool thing for us is like, we never got this building when we were here. This is like a pretty cool, opportunity.
Immaculate.
It is immaculate.
Right.
The building's awesome. So thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Yes,
of course.
thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Marv.
guys for being on the show. And now, before we go, we got 3 minutes here. Shout outs. Just go ahead and shoot them out.
Ace, you first.
Oh, over in Idaho, I know my brother, C-Mag, C-Muggles, David, all
Let's
of
go,
the
Mugs.
above.
Let's go.
Connor doing big things over there. Financial guy over at Clearwater Analytics.
There you go.
Just still doing a little golf on the side, not on the Asian tour like Sherwood, but just doing his thing over there in Idaho. So Connor,
awesome.
what's up? Part of the crew, the original crew.
One of the better backyard football players I've ever played with. Had the
Honestly.
honor of playing with.
Honestly.
Jerry, you got any shout outs?
Let's see. Guess one of my roommates is here. The other one, JP Money for short, Jackson Pyburn.
We can all give Jackson a shout out.
Yeah, I think he's listening in. Not sure whoever else. If the Sylvan boys are listening, thank you. Any family, love you guys, and I guess that's about it.
All right, L.
Yeah, I was going to say just the fam. I mean, me and Marvin are obviously cousins, so a lot of our family's listening. So big shout out to them. And then if the boys, or I guess it's the boy down in LA now at the Wellesley Arms, shout out to you, Zikta.
Nice. All right, and I'm going to shout out my mom, dad, sister, and all of the extended family that is listening. And I want to give a shout out to you three. Thank you guys for coming on my show
Thanks for
today. I
having us,
really
Marv.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Hashtag Marvelous Monday.
Thank you. Yes, this has been a Marvelous Monday. Make sure you guys tune in next week at, I don't know if I'll do 5 or 6. We'll let you know. Well, make sure you guys be on the lookout for that. Next week at 5 or 6, I will be here. Marvelous Mondays. Thank you guys for listening.